I let my friends convince me that my boyfriend was a creep because of his fetish, and I ruined our relationship. Now I'm left heartbroken and struggling to fix the damage I caused. I was with him for a year, and our relationship was incredibly fulfilling. He constantly made me feel loved and always treated me with respect. He did thoughtful little things for me and was always willing to help, even when I didn't ask for it. Our intimacy was amazing too. It felt like we were compatible on every level. About 3 months ago, he told me he had something to confess. He shared that he had a foot fetish and hadn't mentioned it because an ex had reacted poorly, and he didn't want me to think badly of him. Looking back, it was kind of obvious since he often complimented my nail polish and was eager to rub my feet if I asked him to. He even paid for me to get a pedicure because he said French tips would look cute on me. Nothing really changed after that revelation. He wasn't pushy, but he would occasionally kiss my toes during intimacy, which, admittedly, felt good. A few weeks ago, I was hanging out with 3 of my friends and mentioned that he liked my feet. 2 of them said it was a red flag and that he might be a creep. I'd seen some weird stuff online before, but they showed me websites and forums where people take non-consensual photos of women's feet, and it made me anxious. My 3rd friend was more neutral, and suggested I talk to him because he had never given off those vibes. Foolishly I didn't, and I pushed it to the back of my mind until I saw him again 2 days later. We were at my apartment and started messing around. He began to kiss my feet, and I pulled away. He asked what was wrong, and I spent about 10 minutes repeating what my friends had said, that people who are into feet are strange and don't care about anything else. He looked really hurt and told me he didn't know I felt that way about him. Then he got up and left. I can't believe I said those awful things to him. He had never been anything but loving, but I accused him of being a pervert. After he left, I turned to my friends, and 2 of them insisted he was one of those creepy foot fetish guys because he left instead of talking to me and apologizing. My neutral friend again advised me to talk to him, but I spent 2 days convincing myself that something must be wrong with him. He didn't reach out, so I texted him, "We need to talk about our relationship." He replied that he'd come over that night, and he did. He brought a box of my things from his place and said, "I'm not going to stay with someone who thinks I'm a predator." Then he just walked away. I was stunned and couldn't say anything, but that quickly turned to anger. I thought, they were right, he's a creep, and I'm glad he's gone. My 2 friends reassured me they'd help me move on and find someone normal. My neutral friend once again told me not to leave things like this, but I ignored her. I'm horrible. I deserve everything I'm feeling now. For the past month I've been thinking about him non-stop, and the pit in my stomach just keeps growing. Everything came crashing down about a week ago. I got extremely drunk and had the terrible realization that I lost the man I loved over nothing, literally nothing. It was all my fault, and now I'll never be with him again. I was sobbing uncontrollably and called both friends who had egged me on. I told them I never wanted to see them again, and said some things I won't repeat here. I blocked them on everything. My neutral friend tried calling me, but I couldn't bear to talk to her. At around 1 a.m. I called him. He hadn't blocked me, so it went through. I begged him to take me back, told him what my friends had said, and assured him he wasn't a pervert. I told him I loved him more than anything, and that I trusted him completely. I even said he could explore any part of his desires with me, because I knew he wasn't like those people online. He eventually cut me off and gently told me to stop drinking and go to sleep. He sounded so sad, and it shattered my heart all over again. He tried calling me earlier tonight, but I didn't pick up. I'm terrified he's going to tell me to leave him alone for good. I know I deserve it. I deserve worse. But I can't bear it. I love him so much. I just want him to hold me again and forgive me. The thought of never being with him again makes me feel physically ill. I wish I wasn't so foolish. Edit. I texted him that I would call him back tomorrow if he still wants to talk. He replied that it would be fine. As for my friends, I'm planning to talk to all 3. I still intend to cut off the 2 who pushed me into this because the more I think about it, the more I realize they never really liked my ex. I'll also call my neutral friend tomorrow to apologize. Even if I felt pressured, this is 100% my fault. I should have known better and recognized that my ex wasn't anything like they made him out to be. And I should never have discussed his fetish with them. Although I didn't go into detail and only mentioned that he thought my feet were cute, I should have kept it private. I'm going to tell him all of this when we talk. Edit 2. I texted him again asking if he'd be okay meeting in person instead of talking over the phone. I'd rather apologize face to face. He agreed, so we'll be meeting around noon. I want to preface this next part by saying that I know none of this excuses my actions, but I want to give some context. I've been close with those 3 friends since high school. We've been through a lot together, and I've trusted them with many personal details. They were my first close friends since I kept to myself for most of grade school and early high school. Even though I have other friends now, I've never trusted anyone else as much as I trusted them. I'm realizing now how much I let them influence my decisions. Reflecting on it, I can't remember a time when I chose what we were doing, where we were eating, or anything like that. I was the same way with my ex, letting him decide everything even when he asked what I wanted. None of this excuses my weakness, but it's been a pattern in my life. I've already found some therapists who accept my insurance, and I'm going to schedule an appointment. After reading through a lot of these comments, I'm even more afraid that if he takes me back, I'll hurt him again in some way. I don't know if I should tell him all of this, but I'm writing down some notes to organize my thoughts for our conversation. First and foremost, I'm going to apologize to him for everything I did. Even if that's all I can get out before he leaves, I want him to know how deeply sorry I am, and that I'll accept whatever decision he makes. Even if it means never seeing him again. Thank you to everyone who commented. I know I'm not a good person, but I'm determined to become someone better. If he does give me another chance, I want to be someone he deserves. I might update later depending on what happens. Final edit, before I start, I don't want anything in this update to be taken as a way of excusing myself. I accept that I messed up, and the blame is mine alone. We decided to meet at a park halfway between our places. I got there a few minutes early and felt incredibly nervous. When I saw him, I had to fight the urge to cry, but I held it back. I didn't want him to think I was trying to manipulate him. It got harder when he hugged me, but I managed to stay composed. He asked how I was doing, and I told him the truth. I was a mess. I asked him the same, and he said he was okay, but he had the same sad look from the last time I saw him. I asked if I could say something before we talked about anything else, and pulled out the apology I'd written in my notes. I told him how sorry I was for everything, for making him feel unsafe with me, for implying he was a pervert, for betraying his trust by sharing details with others, for not communicating with him, for not standing up for him, for letting others influence my opinion of him, for leaving him in the dark for a month, for my drunken outburst, and for making him feel like I still thought he was a pervert. I apologized for hurting him the same way his ex did. As I spoke, I noticed he was tearing up, and I couldn't hold back my tears anymore. I cried as I finished reading my apology. I told him that I was genuinely happy with him, and that I hope he doesn't feel discouraged from exploring his desires with someone in the future, whoever that may be. He thanked me, and we cried together for a while. He then told me that the reason he had called was because 2 of my friends had contacted him, expressing concern about me and sharing what had happened. It was the neutral friend and one of the 2 who had influenced me the most. I didn't know they had reached out to him. He reassured them that I was okay, and after he talked to them, he realized how much this had been weighing on me. He said he had been thinking about things too and wanted to be honest. He mentioned that while my outburst hurt, he was most devastated by the fact that I didn't come to him first. That was the moment he lost trust in me. He told me he's thought about trying again, but he needs time to figure out if he can fully forgive me and move past it. He suggested we could be friends and see how things go from there, and maybe in time, we can see if we want to start over. He said he still loves me, and that's why he's willing to give me another chance to prove myself, even if it's just as a friend for now. He asked if I could do the same for him while he sorts out his feelings. I told him I'll take whatever time and space he needs. Even if he doesn't want to be with me again, I'll respect his decision. I promise to work on myself regardless, because I know this behavior isn't healthy and I want to change. I also apologized for not listening to the friend who tried to reason with me. I told him I'd be getting help and would focus on becoming more assertive in all aspects of my life. He seemed relieved to hear that. We talked for a bit longer, sharing some lighter memories from our relationship, and it felt comforting, like we were back to being close, if only for a moment. As we were about to leave, he gave me one more hug and said he'd reach out when he felt ready. We both smiled through our tears, and I watched him walk away. As much as it hurts, I know I have to let him decide what's best for him. Even if he never comes back, I'm grateful he's willing to consider giving me a second chance. I'll keep focusing on improving myself. I have my first therapy appointment booked for next week, and I'm looking forward to working on becoming a better person, even if it's just for my own sake. Thank you to everyone who offered kind words, support, and even tough love. I'll always be sorry for what I did, but I'm determined not to let it define who I become.